Hello friends. What happens when you mix the intensity of Scorpio with the cunning cleverness of the rat? You get one of the most magnetic, mysterious, and mentally sharp individuals the zodiac could ever conjure. Welcome to the complex world of the Scorpio born in the year of the rat, a being who burns with silent fire, plots like a grand strategist, and loves with a depth that borders on dangerous. This isn't someone you forget easily. They don't just enter rooms, they shift them. Their aura carries an unspoken weight. You feel it before they even speak. But who are they, really? Let's strip away the layers of charm, intellect, and intensity to truly understand what makes the Scorpio rat tick. Love, the intensity you crave. And fear. Falling in love with a Scorpio rat is like walking into a thunderstorm with no umbrella. It's thrilling, electrifying, and just a little bit dangerous. There's something undeniably hypnotic about them. Maybe it's their stillness, the way they observe before they speak. Or maybe it's the rare, burning intensity in their gaze that makes you feel like they already know your secrets, and might just love you more for them. But whatever it is, once they choose you, the rules of ordinary romance no longer apply. You're now playing by their emotional laws, and they don't write love stories halfway. Their love isn't easy. It's not casual or light or fleeting. It's demanding, relentless, and completely absorbing. They're the kind of lover who doesn't just want to know your favorite color or where you grew up. They want to get inside your mind. They want to understand your patterns, your fears, your guilt, your hopes. They want to feel your pain so they can hold it with you. For them, love is a deep psychic merge, a place where two souls can crash, blend, heal, and grow together. If that sounds intense, that's because it is. A Scorpio rat doesn't do lukewarm. They don't believe in half-hearted devotion. They either drown in love or refuse to touch the water. They can be extremely romantic, but in ways that defy cliché. Don't expect cheesy grand gestures. Expect the small things, remembering how you like your tea, showing up unannounced because they sensed something was off in your tone, quietly handling your problems before you even ask. Their care shows up in subtleties. And the more you earn their trust, the more they'll pull back the curtain to reveal the passion they often hide from the world. Emotional stimulation is non-negotiable. A Scorpio rat is fascinated by emotional complexity, their own and yours. They want to be surprised, challenged, and inspired in love. A relationship that lacks growth, honesty, or soul-level conversation will feel like emotional death to them. They'll try to revive it, yes, but only so many times. Once they feel that the energy between you is flatlining, they'll begin to detach. And the detachment of a Scorpio rat is devastating, because it happens so quietly. One day, you'll just realize they've stopped showing up emotionally. They're still there, but not really. And when they leave, they rarely look back. Possessiveness is part of the equation, but not in an immature or insecure way. When they love, they bond deeply. It's less about, I own you, and more about, you are a part of me now, I protect what is mine. This instinct can lead to jealousy, but it's rarely messy or loud. It's quiet, simmering, and deeply internal. What they won't do is openly accuse or beg for reassurance. What they will do is withdraw, analyze, and keep tabs until they understand what's really going on. If you're open with them and loyal, there's no issue. But lie to them, betray them emotionally, even subtly, they won't explode, they'll evaporate. Trust is the foundation of everything. They don't just give it, they test for it. Over time, you'll notice they set emotional traps. Not cruelly, but intentionally. They might share something vulnerable just to see how you handle it. Or they might pull away briefly to gauge your reaction. If you respond with honesty, empathy, and steadiness, they'll begin to let you into the deeper chambers of their heart. But this process is slow and deliberate. Trust with a Scorpio rat isn't built in days. It's forged in fire, shaped by loyalty, and sealed through time. But once you have it, you have all of them. They're paradoxical in how they love. They need independence but crave connection. They want mystery but detest secrets. They're private, but deeply observant, and will often know your mood before you do. They'll support you fiercely but challenge you constantly. Their love is part comfort, part chaos, like standing in the middle of a hurricane that somehow feels like home. They'll push you to evolve, to open up, to feel things more deeply than you ever intended. And in doing so, they'll awaken a version of you that feels more alive than ever before. And here's the final, unshakable truth. To be loved by a Scorpio rat is to be seen. Not just noticed, not just appreciated, but truly seen. They'll fall in love with the parts of you you've always tried to hide. They'll cherish your darkness, your rawness, your pain. They love in a way that purifies. It's not always comfortable, but it's always real. And in a world full of temporary, surface-level romances, their love is a rare and extraordinary force, a love that demands everything, but gives even more. Marriage, a sacred pact. Marriage to a Scorpio rat is not something entered into lightly. It's an all-encompassing, soul-binding agreement that reaches far beyond paperwork and ceremonies. To them, it's not just about love, it's about purpose, power, trust, and destiny. This is someone who has likely imagined their ideal marriage years before it happens. They don't view it as the final step in a relationship but as the beginning of a deeply strategic, emotionally layered life partnership. When they choose you as a spouse, they are choosing you as their ultimate teammate, the one person who will walk with them through every war, every storm, and every triumph, and they intend to walk with you until the very end. They see marriage as a long-term mission, not a romantic fantasy. Their approach is both spiritual and calculated. There is romance, yes, but it's woven into the structure of loyalty, planning, and precision. Like a seasoned chess player, the Scorpio rat thinks 5 steps ahead. They anticipate challenges, prepare for setbacks, and make emotional investments with the same seriousness others reserve for finances or legacy. Every interaction matters. Every argument is filed, remembered, and studied for patterns. They are constantly learning you, not to control you, but to understand you so thoroughly that the union becomes seamless. This sense of strategy doesn't make their marriage cold, it actually intensifies their devotion. They're the kind of spouse who learns your emotional language better than you know it yourself. They'll anticipate your needs, protect your weaknesses, and push you when you lose sight of your goals. They want to build something lasting, powerful, and private. They are fiercely loyal to their marriage, often creating a fortress of intimacy that no outsider can penetrate. To them, the bond of marriage is sacred, not because society says so, but because they've chosen it. And a Scorpio rat never chooses lightly. But here's the twist, their standards are high. They don't just hope for depth, they require it. If they sense their partner is becoming emotionally unavailable, intellectually stagnant, or spiritually disconnected, they'll begin to pull away. Not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. They need to feel that their partner is growing with them, that there's forward momentum, that the bond is evolving. Emotional laziness is one of their deepest triggers. They want real conversations, shared goals, and a dynamic exchange of ideas and feelings. If you're just going through the motions, they'll know. And once they begin to feel alone in the partnership, their silence can grow louder than any fight. Their version of marriage includes passion, but not the surface-level kind. It's a deep, unshakable intimacy. They want a partner who can handle their intensity, mirror it, and even challenge it. They respect strength, but not arrogance. Vulnerability, but not neediness. They want to admire you, learn from you, and walk beside you as an equal. But make no mistake, they will lead when the time calls for it. Scorpio rats often become the emotional and strategic backbone of their marriages, especially during difficult times. They don't fold under pressure. In fact, they thrive in adversity. And if you're willing to fight beside them, they'll become the fiercest defender of your shared world. At the heart of their marital philosophy is this: the world may be chaotic, but marriage should be your sanctuary. They will guard your shared life like a dragon hoards gold. Privacy matters deeply. They're not likely to post every moment on social media or seek validation from others. To them, what's sacred is silent. The most important parts of your bond are the ones no one else sees: the long conversations, the shared glances, the quiet resilience built in the moments between storms. These things are not for public consumption. They're for the two of you, and only you. And yet, their love in marriage is not always easy to hold. It demands emotional maturity, patience, and a willingness to evolve. Scorpio rats don't just marry who you are, they marry who you could be. They are future-focused, and they expect their partner to be on a similar path of growth. They aren't interested in static lives or stagnant love. They want to build, conquer, and expand, together. If you grow with them, they will give you a marriage rich in loyalty, passion, and deep mutual respect. If you stay the same while they transform, the distance between you will become a canyon. Ultimately, a marriage with a Scorpio rat is a shared journey toward power, purpose, and profound emotional understanding. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for those who crave a love that transcends time, a bond that withstands storms, and a partnership built not just on affection, but on unwavering commitment. They will pour themselves into the relationship fully, and expect the same in return. And if you give it, you'll be loved, protected, and empowered in ways you never knew were possible. Because once a Scorpio rat calls you their partner for life, they mean for life. Sex, a slow burn that becomes a wildfire. Sex with a Scorpio rat is unlike anything you've ever experienced, not because it's the most acrobatic or the most theatrical, but because it reaches into the deepest corners of your psyche and flips every emotional switch you didn't even know you had. These individuals don't just want your body, they want your mind, your surrender, your secrets. When they're with you, they're not chasing temporary release. They're building something much more potent, obsession. For the Scorpio rat, sex is an ongoing process of discovery, manipulation, worship, and control, all wrapped in pleasure so intense it borders on spiritual. This combination of zodiac and Chinese astrology fuses two powerful energies: Scorpio's raw, emotional magnetism and the rat's clever, calculated curiosity. What results is a lover who isn't content with physicality alone. They want to know why a certain touch made you gasp, why you looked away when they whispered a compliment, what memory came to your mind the moment they kissed your neck. They're detectives of your desire. They file every reaction, every subtle shift in breath, every unconscious movement, and build a playbook with your name on it. And they'll use it, not just to please you, but to dominate your internal landscape. Sex with them is slow at first, painfully slow. They savor anticipation like a delicacy. You'll feel their eyes on you long before their hands. You'll feel the weight of everything unsaid, the tension, the electricity, the promise. Foreplay is not just a prelude, it's a strategy. They'll draw it out until you're the one begging to move forward, and even then, they'll wait a moment longer, because they know exactly how to build pressure. It's this control, this mastery of the moment, that makes them irresistible. You'll never forget the first time you're truly alone with them. It marks a before and after in your sensual life. And yet, their sexuality is never crude or careless. It's refined, intentional, and deeply respectful, but in a way that's still thrillingly dangerous. For them, sex is about vulnerability, about exposure. But not just yours, theirs too. They're not afraid to go deep, to reveal kinks, fantasies, and past wounds that shaped their desires. In fact, they thrive in that space. They're often drawn to taboo, not out of rebellion, but because they find honesty in what others hide. They believe sex is where masks come off. That's why they'll never be satisfied with performance. They want truth in your touch. They want confessions between gasps. They have an uncanny ability to know what you need, sometimes before you do. That intuitive nature, paired with the rat's observational skills, makes them masterful lovers. They'll notice how your breath catches when they move a certain way, and they'll use it again, perfectly timed. They'll change rhythm based on your mood, your silence, the tension in your back. They are listening, not with ears, but with every cell. And once they find your code, they crack it completely. You won't just feel pleasure, you'll feel understood. Sex becomes not just ecstasy, but intimacy in its most exposed form. But don't mistake any of this for casual passion. A Scorpio rat doesn't give themselves to just anyone. They need to trust you, not just with their body, but with their energy. They won't fully engage unless they sense psychological safety, and once they do, they expect you to hold it sacred. For them, sex is a transfer of power, energy, even identity. They don't do one-night stands without meaning. If they're in your bed, it's because they've already studied you, tested your mind, and decided that you're worthy of access to the parts of themselves they rarely show. And once that door opens, there's no going back. Their hunger is unrelenting, but it's never chaotic. It's focused. They can make love for hours, switch between dominance and tenderness with ease, and often leave you wondering how someone could make intensity feel so safe. This is where their paradox shines. They are both hunter and healer, both dominant and attuned. They don't just chase the high, they create it, design it, sculpt it moment by moment. And when they finally let go, when they finally surrender to you the way you've surrendered to them, it feels like the universe collapsing into itself. Complete, consuming, eternal. And above all, they leave a mark. Not just on your skin, on your soul. Days later, you'll feel a memory of their touch. Weeks later, your body will remember details your mind forgot. Months later, you'll compare new lovers to them, and they will fall short. Because no one else quite gets it like the Scorpio Rat does. No one else knows how to reach into the deepest parts of you and make them sing. For them, sex isn't just an act. It's a language. It's a battlefield. It's a masterpiece. And once you've tasted it, nothing else will ever feel quite as real again. Friendship. The inner circle is sacred. Not everyone earns a place in a Scorpio Rat's circle, and that's exactly how they like it. Friendship, to them, is not a numbers game. It's an alliance, a contract, a soul-level agreement built on more than just shared laughs and good times. They are warm in public, often charming in groups, and can maintain polite rapport with acquaintances. But real friendship, the kind that earns access to their heart, their thoughts, their silence, that's a guarded space. It's locked tight, and only a select few ever find the key. Being friends with a Scorpio Rat is one thing. Being chosen as a true friend, that's sacred territory. They approach friendship like they approach everything else, with intention. They notice everything, how you speak about others when they're not around, whether your loyalty wavers in the presence of drama, how quickly you share someone else's secrets. They're watching, not to judge, but to calculate whether you're safe. Because the moment they let you in, you're holding something precious, their vulnerability. And Scorpio Rats never hand that over lightly. They would rather have one ride or die companion than a room full of acquaintances. Quality matters, depth matters, surface level doesn't interest them. They want friendships that can survive storms, stretch across years, and still feel as intimate as the first late-night talk. Loyalty is not just a value, it's their core language. Once you've proven yourself, they are the kind of friend who will show up without needing to be asked. You'll never have to wonder where they stand. They'll support you fiercely in public, defend your name behind closed doors, and call you out privately if you're slipping, because they care enough to be honest. Their friendship is quiet but unshakable. If you need help at 3 a.m., they won't just text, they'll drive across town. If you tell them something in confidence, it will never leave their lips. Secrets are safe with them not because they fear consequences, but because they respect trust as a sacred bond. But there is a catch, their expectations are high. They don't demand perfection, but they do demand presence, integrity, backbone. They will overlook flaws, but they will not overlook betrayal, even subtle forms of it. Talking behind their back, siding with someone who has hurt them, revealing private matters, these are acts of treason in their emotional kingdom. And once you cross that line, it's over, not with fireworks or confrontation. Often, with a haunting kind of silence. The door closes, the light switches off, and you may never hear from them again. Scorpio Rats don't do second chances in friendship. Once trust is broken, it's broken. The twist? They expect loyalty even when they're wrong, not blind obedience, but unwavering presence. They don't need you to agree with everything they do. They just need to know that you won't abandon them during their low moments. They need to feel that your love is not conditional on their perfection. When they make mistakes, and they will, they need to see that you're still in their corner. Not enabling, not excusing, but staying. That's what earns you their lifetime of loyalty in return. If they see that kind of devotion in you, you'll never have to question where you stand. Their friendships are often unbalanced in visibility. They are incredible listeners, the kind who can sit with you in your darkest hour and not flinch. They'll absorb your fears, remember your dreams, and analyze your emotional patterns like a therapist would. But they rarely volunteer their own emotional chaos. That's part of their mystery. They give you the safety to share, while keeping their own storms locked behind the curtain. It can make them feel distant at times, even cold, but it's not a lack of emotion, it's self-protection. They open up in layers, slowly, and only to those who have shown they can hold it without judgment or agenda. When a Scorpio rat does let you in, truly in, the friendship becomes elemental. It's not just two people hanging out, it's a bond formed in fire. A soul contract. You'll find yourselves finishing each other's sentences, understanding each other without explanation, feeling their moods even through a screen. The connection becomes telepathic, and if you nourish it, protect it, and honor its sacred depth, you'll have a friend who will walk with you through every life transition. They'll challenge you to grow, protect you from threats, and believe in you when you forget how to believe in yourself. And that kind of bond? It's almost mythical. In a world full of fast friends and fair-weather loyalty, the Scorpio rat's friendship stands like a fortress. Rare, unshakable, eternal. Business, born to win. In the business world, the Scorpio rat isn't just a player, they're the architect behind the game board itself. Their mind is a calculated storm of intuition and analysis, constantly scanning for patterns, weaknesses, and untapped potential. What sets them apart from other ambitious personalities is that they aren't in it for applause. They don't care about surface-level status or flexing for the crowd. They're not seduced by quick wins or flashy titles. Their ambition is rooted in something deeper, a hunger to build, to control, to endure. To them, success isn't just a destination, it's an identity, and they wear it in silence, with power stitched into every move. The Scorpio's psychological depth combined with the rat's innate survival instincts creates a business personality that's dangerously effective. They can read a room like a map, identify threats before anyone else sees them, and pivot in real time with a precision that seems almost psychic. Their ability to anticipate outcomes is uncanny. They don't just plan for Plan B, they've already built Plans C through G. You won't catch them off guard. While others scramble to react, the Scorpio rat has already adapted, evolved, and quietly taken the upper hand. This is a person who thinks in systems, long games, and legacy, not short-term gratification. They don't crave money in the traditional sense, they see it as a tool, a weapon, a freedom pass. What they truly chase is autonomy, power to move as they please, to create without interference, to influence without being exposed. Business, to them, is war with a suit on. Every deal is a negotiation of dominance, every collaboration a carefully measured risk. They are rarely interested in positions where they have to follow someone else's orders. If they must start at the bottom, they'll learn the entire system from the inside out and quietly plot their way to the top, not loudly, not obviously, but inevitably. You won't find them seeking the spotlight in the traditional sense. They're the ones making major moves while everyone's watching someone flashier. They understand that real power is quiet, strategic, and subtle. The Scorpio rat often operates behind closed doors, advising CEOs, influencing investors, or building businesses with their name far from the marquee. They let others stand on stage while they pull the strings behind the curtain. Why? Because control matters more than credit. Their ego is complex. They don't need constant praise. They need results, and they will do whatever it takes to get them. Leadership comes naturally to them, but it's not loud or performative. They lead through influence, not intimidation. People follow them because they trust their vision, respect their instincts, and sense that this person knows something they don't. Their calm under pressure is legendary. When others panic, the Scorpio rat narrows their focus. Their mind sharpens. They don't make reactive moves. Every step is deliberate. They'll gather data, weigh scenarios, and act with the confidence of someone who already saw this coming 6 months ago. That level of poise commands attention, even in silence. Negotiation is one of their superpowers. A Scorpio rat can walk into a room, say very little, and leave with exactly what they wanted. They study people, their motives, tells, fears, and insecurities. In a negotiation, they're playing chess while others are playing checkers. They understand the emotional undercurrents that drive decisions and use that knowledge with surgical precision. They don't bluff, they don't beg, they simply make it so that walking away from their offer feels like a mistake. They're persuasive without being pushy, commanding without being controlling. Their words are few, but chosen like weapons. Yet, despite all this brilliance, their greatest challenge lies within overthinking. Their analytical mind is a double-edged sword. Because they see so many angles, possibilities, and outcomes, they can sometimes get stuck in a loop of planning and replanning, waiting for the perfect moment. This desire for absolute control can lead to delays, missed chances, or unnecessary stress. They want to predict every variable, master every scenario. But life, and business, doesn't always work that way. The irony? When they do trust their gut, they're almost always right. It's only when they start second-guessing their own brilliance that cracks begin to show. Once they overcome that internal hesitation, and they almost always do, there's no stopping them. They rise like a force of nature, quiet but unstoppable. They build empires with brick-by-brick intensity, often starting small and scaling with breathtaking precision. They don't believe in luck. They believe in leverage, and they know how to create it from nothing. At their core, Scorpio rats are not just entrepreneurs or executives, they are builders of legacy. Their vision extends decades into the future. Whether they're launching startups, managing portfolios, leading teams, or consulting behind the scenes, their influence spreads further than most people will ever realize. Because while others chase trends, the Scorpio rat is designing timeless success, calculated, controlled, and completely their own. Dark sides, the shadow that lurks. Every light casts a shadow, and the Scorpio rat casts one that is long, complex, and deeply rooted in emotional and psychological intensity. For all their brilliance, loyalty, and passion, this is a personality that carries within it a dark labyrinth, not one easily seen from the outside. These shadows don't come out in every interaction. In fact, they can stay hidden for years, lurking beneath layers of charm, insight, and control. But when triggered, the Scorpio rat's darker nature can be as consuming as their love is captivating. These aren't flaws in the traditional sense, they are survival tools turned toxic when left unchecked, and no one wields them quite like this combination of signs. Manipulation is one of the most prominent features of the Scorpio rat's shadow side. It rarely looks obvious. They're not overt manipulators in the way you might expect. There's no yelling, no dramatics, no overt guilt-tripping. Instead, they work subtly, invisibly, weaving influence through silence, timing, and suggestion. If they want something from you, they'll rarely ask directly. Instead, they'll create a situation where giving it to them seems like your idea, and you'll walk away convinced it was. They can shape outcomes without confrontation, persuading through implication and energy rather than force. And when they're operating in this mode, it's nearly impossible to trace where your free will ended and their influence began. Jealousy is another powerful force within them. On the surface, they may seem composed, even indifferent, but underneath lies a smoldering fire that, if stoked, can turn into full-blown emotional warfare. If they feel their territory, emotional or professional, is being threatened, they don't react immediately. They study, they gather information, they calculate, and when they strike, it's not impulsive, it's surgical. Silent treatment is one of their favorite tools, not out of immaturity, but as a strategic form of punishment. They know the weight of their absence. They can make you feel invisible without ever raising their voice. Mind games, passive aggression, and cold dismissals, they've mastered them not because they enjoy cruelty, but because it gives them back a sense of control when their emotions run wild. Grudges are their emotional trophies. Scorpio rats have near-perfect emotional memory. They remember what you said, how you said it, and the look in your eyes when you said it, even if it was 5 years ago. And they don't just hold on to pain, they catalog it. For them, unresolved betrayal or disrespect doesn't fade with time. It sharpens, grows teeth, and if the day comes when they feel empowered enough, they may bring that grudge back into the light, not necessarily for revenge, but for closure on their terms. Forgiveness, for them, is rarely freely given. It's earned through action, proof, and the slow rebuilding of shattered trust. Paranoia is a quiet demon that often plagues their relationships and inner life. They expect betrayal before it happens, because their instincts are razor-sharp and constantly on alert. This hypervigilance can lead them to create tests for the people they love, silent loyalty checks, setups, even emotional traps designed to see how someone will respond under pressure. The problem? These tests often reveal more about the Scorpio rat's own fears than the other person's faults. And when those fears are confirmed, whether rightly or wrongly, they don't just leave. They vanish. No confrontation, no warning. They'll erase you from their life with a finality that feels chilling. And they won't explain, because in their mind, betrayal doesn't deserve a dialogue. It deserves a disappearance. Perfectionism is another shadow, one that punishes both themselves and those closest to them. Scorpio rats have extremely high standards for work, relationships, behavior, and personal growth. When those standards aren't met, they don't always express disappointment outright. Instead, it seeps out through judgmental silence, withdrawn affection, or a relentless internal monologue that critiques everything. When turned inward, this perfectionism becomes a private hell. They can spiral into self-doubt, questioning their own worth, replaying failures in their mind until they've emotionally exhausted themselves. But they often won't speak of this struggle. They'll mask it with composure, pushing harder, pretending everything's fine, until something snaps. And yet, for all the danger and intensity these shadows carry, they hold immense potential for growth. Scorpio rats aren't content to live in their darkness. Many of them are painfully self-aware. They know their flaws. They feel their emotional extremes. And when they finally decide to confront those patterns, not avoid or justify them, something extraordinary happens. They don't just change, they transform. The same intensity that once led them to manipulate becomes a force for empowerment. The jealousy transforms into fierce devotion. The paranoia sharpens into discernment. The perfectionism refines into mastery. These aren't people destined to be consumed by their shadow. They are built to own it, study it, and eventually alchemize it into something powerful. That's the beauty of the Scorpio rat. Even in their darkest moments, they're not afraid to face the mirror. And when they do, they don't just evolve. They rise from the ashes, sharper, wiser, and even more unstoppable than before. Life purpose: to conquer without chaos. Scorpio rats are not born to blend in. They may appear reserved, even elusive, but beneath their composed exterior lies an unshakable sense of destiny. They aren't here to chase fleeting goals or participate in society's approval games. They're here for something far more powerful: personal mastery and silent influence. Their life isn't a straight line. It's a labyrinth of self-evolution, power accumulation, and emotional depth that most people can't begin to comprehend. Their purpose doesn't scream for attention, it whispers, and still commands the room. They don't need a stage to change the world. They'll do it from the shadows, methodically, effectively, and entirely on their own terms. What drives the Scorpio rat isn't attention, it's control. Not just over others, but over themselves, their environment, and their legacy. They are tacticians by nature. While others waste energy on noise and applause, Scorpio rats are behind the curtain, rewriting scripts, altering outcomes, and setting up dominoes that won't fall for years. They believe in strategy, not chaos. Power, not force. They don't want to be the loudest voice in the room. They want to be the one who owns the building. The one whose signature moves shape industries, ideas, and generations, even if no one knows their name. Their desire to influence is rooted in deep emotional intelligence. Whether they're running a business, creating art, reshaping culture, or quietly mentoring someone with potential, their fingerprint is always precise. They are not drawn to trends or temporary highs. They're after impact, and more importantly, they're after control of their own story. Scorpio rats despise dependency on people, systems, or chaos. That's why their purpose almost always involves creating something that grants them independence. A business, a portfolio, a philosophy, a structure they can trust when the world around them crumbles. Control isn't about domination. For them, it's about peace. Legacy means everything to them. They aren't content with simply existing. They want to build something that lasts, and more importantly, something that matters. Scorpio rats tend to work toward a larger vision, even if they can't articulate it in the moment. Their pursuits are often misunderstood as obsessive or intense, but they aren't being dramatic. They're driven. The idea of a mediocre life terrifies them. They want to live with precision, direction, and purpose. Whether that means influencing a single person profoundly or changing the structure of an entire system, they're not satisfied until they've made their mark. Their ideal life isn't filled with parties or public recognition. It's one where they are respected without needing to demand it, where their emotional boundaries are protected and their circle is tight, curated with intention. They crave solitude not because they dislike people, but because they need space to think. Space to plan, to evolve, to breathe without performance. To be understood by a select few is worth more to them than being admired by the masses. Fame doesn't seduce them, but real power, quiet, lasting influence that reshapes reality, that's the fire in their blood. At their core, Scorpio rats are seekers of truth, depth, connection, and power that doesn't corrupt, but clarifies. They crave a life that feels real, raw, and unfiltered. They don't want diluted love, surface-level friendships, or jobs that kill their soul. They live in extremes, emotionally, spiritually, even physically, because they need intensity to feel alive. But here's the difference: they're not reckless. Their extremes are chosen with care. They're searching for the real thing in a world that offers cheap imitations. And once they find it, whether it's a calling, a cause, or a person, they pour everything into it. And like all powerful souls, they often go through fire before they find their clarity. Their lives are marked by transformation, moments of destruction followed by rebirth. They aren't afraid to break down everything they once believed if it means building a better version of themselves. They'll disappear for seasons, not out of weakness, but out of necessity. In silence, they regroup. In solitude, they sharpen. And when they rise, because they always rise, they come back more refined, more focused, more certain of who they are and what they're here to do. So if you're lucky enough to know a Scorpio rat, or to be one, know this: you are not made for average. Your intensity has a purpose. Your silence holds power. Your presence, even in the background, moves worlds. You were born to conquer, not with chaos, not with noise, but with precision, persistence, and an unbreakable will. You were born to build legacies, not trends. To influence quietly, to love deeply, and to rise, again and again, until your purpose is fulfilled, even if no one else sees the blueprint but you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, there's so much more waiting. Like, subscribe, and explore the other videos on our channel. And don't forget, in the description below, you'll find links to our socials and exclusive content we only share with our community. Thanks for watching. If you found yourself nodding along, pausing to reflect, or feeling unexpectedly seen while watching this deep dive, that's not by accident. Our goal is to go far beyond the surface, diving into the psychological, emotional, and even spiritual layers of the personalities we explore. And if this resonated with you, there's a good chance the rest of our content will too. We don't just scratch the surface, we dissect the archetypes, decode the patterns, and give you stories and insight you can actually feel. So if this hit home for you, don't just walk away, lean in. Because we're only getting started. Liking this video isn't just about helping us, it's about telling the algorithm that you want more content like this. It signals that these deeper, more meaningful explorations matter. Every like adds momentum to what we're building here, a space for real understanding, not just entertainment. And when you subscribe, you're not just signing up for more videos, you're joining a growing community of curious, thoughtful minds who crave insight that actually matters. You won't find generic personality breakdowns here. You'll find content that challenges you, validates you, and gives language to the things you've always felt but couldn't explain. We release new videos regularly, and each one is crafted with the same level of detail, intention, and depth you experienced here. Whether we're breaking down astrological profiles, decoding psychological blueprints, or exploring the hidden sides of familiar archetypes, every episode is designed to leave you thinking, to leave you feeling seen. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the next video may just be the one that cracks something open for you. In the description below, you'll find direct links to all of our social media platforms. That's where we share the extras, behind-the-scenes thoughts, polls for upcoming topics, short-form insights, and conversations that don't make it into the final cut. It's also where you can connect directly with us and other members of this incredible community. If you want to keep the conversation going, that's the place to do it. We're building something real over there, and we'd love for you to be part of it. Don't miss the exclusive content we reserve just for our core audience. Some insights are too niche, too bold, or too raw for YouTube's algorithm, so we share them directly with our community. Check the links, sign up, dive deeper. You'll get access to materials we don't publish anywhere else, and we promise, it's worth it. If you loved what you just watched, what's waiting for you behind the scenes is next level. This channel is more than just a content hub. It's a growing collective of people who are obsessed with understanding the why behind who we are. If that's you, then you've found your people. Whether you're here to learn more about others or to unravel your own complexity, you're in the right place. And the best way to keep exploring? Click through, watch more, let us take you even deeper. The rabbit hole only gets better from here. So once again, if this video spoke to you, like it, share it, subscribe, and dive into the next one. We're just scratching the surface. And don't forget to check the description below for links, tools, and content you won't find anywhere else. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the Inner Circle.